House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says that she wants to pay for a new jobs bill by using leftover money from the TARP program. Bloomberg's Peter Cook sat down with House Republican leader John Boehner to get his take on that idea and more.
That's the worst idea I've ever heard of. You know, listen, we passed TARP to avoid an economic calamity. And I've been probably the biggest critic of how that money was actually spent. But the money went out to the financial institutions. Now it's coming back. And as it comes back, what we ought to do with that money is use it to reduce the budget deficit. Nobody ever had any idea that when this money came back that we'd go ahead and spend it on something else. We can reduce the budget deficit. That's what it was intended for when it came back. And I just don't see any reason to use that money to try to pass a bill that's going to do nothing but grow the size of government.
Do you see any need for the Treasury Secretary to renew TARP for next year?
I do not. I think the time has come to put a stop to this. I was critical of how the Bush administration at the end handled those TARP funds. I've been critical about this administration's handling of the TARP funds. Everything that they've used the TARP money for, not one of those ideas was presented when the bill was passed here in Congress over a year ago. Not one of them. And there really hasn't been the kind of transparency and accountability that many of us thought we were getting when we passed the bill.
Again, let me ask you about some of the other ideas people are talking about here on the Hill to pay for perhaps another stimulus, or at least stimulus-like measures. Some have suggested today transactions tax, financial transactions tax. Would that make any sense to you?
No. Listen, it's not going to hit just Wall Street investors. Every person in America has a 401k, or every person in America who has a pension. All are going to pay this tax. And the second part of the problem is that you're taking a real risk that you're going to ship jobs overseas. You can trade these stocks overseas without a transaction tax. So what would stop these firms from doing electronic trade via London as opposed to New York? It will do nothing more than to hurt jobs. And, you know, every time...
Is that dead on arrival?
Oh, it's dead on arrival. And listen, every time I turn around here in Washington, I've got Democrats looking for ways to raise taxes. You know, if it moves, you know, they want to tax it. And it's just time to say enough of this. We're in a recession. We've got to get our economy going again. The American people want to know, where are the jobs? Their agenda is killing jobs. And the idea of raising taxes in a recession will kill even more jobs.